On Friday, September 17th, voters in Londonderry will weigh in on whether to allow retail sales of cannabis in town beginning in October of 2022 to those 21 years old and older. A no vote would mean the town has opted out of allowing such sales of cannabis. A yes vote would pave the way for allowing such businesses to open in about 13 months from now. But regardless of the vote, all other cannabis-related business types will be allowed in town, such as cultivators, wholesalers, manufacturers, and testing labs. And a no vote doesn't preclude the possibility of a subsequent vote to revisit the question. The vote on cannabis will also include a separate article on whether to add Londonderry to the list of towns in Vermont which have a 1% local option sales tax. The 1% addition to the statewide 6% sales tax would apply to all items typically covered by local option taxes, as well as online purchases, and including possible cannabis sales if that article passes. Currently, several neighboring communities, including Brattleboro, Dover, Manchester, Rutland, Stratton, and Winhall, have a 1% local option tax. In Londonderry, the tax would not extend to rooms, meals, or alcohol sales, which are special categories under the local option tax law. There have been 2 public informational meetings held so far to explain the vote. The second was held on Wednesday, September 8th, at the Town Hall, where Select Board Chairman Tom Cavanaugh described what was in play with the vote scheduled for September 17th.
While the Select Board does not take a stand on how Londonderry's voters should decide on these articles, the following is information that should assist them. Article 1, Retail Cannabis Vote. A yes vote on retail cannabis would mean that retail sales of cannabis would be allowed in town starting October 2022. In order to open a retail cannabis store, business owners will have to acquire a state permit. Each permit will be valid for only one type of the business and conform with the town zoning rules. Retail cannabis stores will bring in new customers to town, both from neighboring towns as well as tourists. Many of those who come to town to shop at a retail cannabis store, if one opens in town, could potentially also visit other businesses in town, which could generate new revenue for the local economy. A no vote would mean that retail cannabis stores would not be allowed in town. However, that does not mean another vote cannot happen in the future. The Select Board can call for another vote in the future, or a petition with signatures of 5% of the registered voters in town could trigger another vote.
Much of the questions from the audience and the discussions afterwards centered around the local option tax proposal and what it would mean.
My wife said we're new to Londonderry, we're now residents here. But we've lived in 4 other states over the last 30 years. And all we've seen over those 30 years in those 4 other states is slowly increase taxes, increase budgets, increase spending, and always starting out at one level and ending up at another level. When we started in New Jersey,
I don't care about New Jersey.
no, I don't care either, but they had no income tax, now it's 10%. The point is here, 1%, you say it's only 1%. But, and I'm also in finance, and I can tell you, you have no idea, unless you've done some studies and projections, how much revenues you're going to get from online sales. You have no idea how much I spend online, or he does, or anyone else. It could be thousands. I know it's many thousands for us. That's not the point. And what commitment the board is making is where those revenues can be, where they'll be allocated, especially if they're hundreds of times more than you think, because it may well be.
It will go to offset property taxes.
Directly, reduce the tax rate?
Yes.
Because that's not clear in the proposal.
It says it will go into the general fund, which goes in as a revenue, which offsets the expenses.
And if you get $500,000, this is a question. Will it go to reduce the tax rate, or might you build another town hall?
It will go to relieve the tax rate. That's what the
That
vote.
should be specific.
Select Board members and other town officials who spoke to the question pointed out that without the local option tax, the town would gain no economic benefit from allowing cannabis sales locally. They have estimated that the town could realize about $111,000 from local option taxes on retail sales, including cannabis. And that money would be transferred to the town's general fund, with an eye towards offsetting local property taxes.
Expensive. We got roads we have to pave. It's about $200,000 for a mile of road to repave. I mean, these roads are never gonna get paved fully, the way we go, because we don't have the money. Well, that's why we wanna raise property taxes, and we try not to. I mean, this year, this budget, we tried our best to cut wherever we could, because we knew everyone was hurting because of COVID.
Last year, we as a board, we bared down hard on the town budget. We did a lot of things that places, even in Weston or Manchester wouldn't consider to keep our budget down, keep tax rates down, because that is a primary concern for us.
Barry Randell was one town resident who expressed concerns about the proposed increase in the sales tax and where that revenue might eventually go.
But mostly, how the 1% local tax is going to be used. And I want it to be clear that it is used exclusively to reduce the property tax. Because otherwise, if it goes into the general fund and is used for other purposes, then it's not doing anything to reduce the tax liability. And Vermont already is the fourth highest property tax state in the country, so we don't need to pay any more property taxes.
During last March's town meeting season, more than 20 towns in Vermont opted to approve retail marijuana sales, clearing the way for marijuana shops to open up by October of 2022. The legislation to establish a legal marketplace for marijuana became law in October of 2020. There are two other articles on the warning, one dealing with an integrated license vote and another advisory vote on the position of town constable.
If the town opted to do nothing and not vote to allow retail cannabis, the town would automatically be opted in to allowing it in 2022. So if this vote passes, it gives those in the cannabis industry a little bit of extra time to consider having a store in Londonderry. It doesn't necessarily mean that there automatically will be one. If it fails, there won't be retail cannabis allowed in Londonderry. Although, as Tom said, it could be asked to have a vote in the future.
Polls will be open in Londonderry from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday, September 17th. Voting will take place at the town offices in South Londonderry, and absentee ballots are also available, and early voting is already underway. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.